Joining us now for more on this is Tony Jaja, a lawyer, and he joins us from Maseru in Lesotho. Thank you so much, Tony Jaja, for joining us to discuss this. Now, I'll start by asking, did the announcement come to you as a surprise, and why is this the best move to happen for River State?
The announcement is an illegal announcement. Illegal in the sense that the steps before you make such announcements have not been followed. The Supreme Court's judgment of 28 February 2025 mentioned that only one individual can conduct that election, and that's Governor Fubara. It's clear, the judgment is clear. Now, in legal parlance, if you want to do what we call variation of judgment, variation means you go back to the Supreme Court, you seek to join, say, due to circumstances, Governor Fubara is no longer able to conduct the election because the judgment was clear that the previous election conducted by Governor Fubara was nullified. Therefore, fresh elections were to be conducted by Governor Fubara because he was the appellant in that Supreme Court judgment. Therefore, if there's going to be any variation, the Attorney General of the Federation, who is the chief legal officer, ought to go back to the Supreme Court and seek for what we call variation of judgment to allow the sole administrator, the government of the sole administrator, to enforce the Supreme Court judgment, which specifically mentioned Governor Fubara. So those legal steps have not been followed. So the announcement is an illegality.
So part of the mandate given to the sole administrator was to resolve the political conflicts in River State and then to ensure peace. How does this planned election feed that mandate?
In law, because I'm a legislative lawyer, whenever a function is to be given to someone, it has to be expressly stated. In the state of emergency proclamation, March 18, 2025, amongst the listed functions of the sole administrator is conduct of election is not mentioned. Therefore, it's a simple thing. Go to the National Assembly, amend that legislation to allow the sole administrator to conduct election as one of the functions. Until you do that, constitutionally and legally, you cannot conduct River State elections as a sole administrator. Only Governor Fubara can conduct such elections.
Now, are you satisfied with the prevailing conditions in River State? Some say this is just a move to reinstate the preferred structure in the state and then to restore Governor Fubara, who then becomes a mere spectator. Do you think that's a right assessment?
I am a lawyer. I don't know about politics. Whatever is happening, my concern is from the legal perspective. The legal steps ought to be followed. I don't know what the end game is, but my interest is the legal provisions have not been followed. The secretary to the sole administrator is a professor of law. He was my former lecturer at the River State University. He's supposed to advise him to follow these steps, the legal steps. So whatever the underlying or the end game, whoever wants to take over local governments, that is not my concern. My concern as a River State indigene is please follow the law. Right now, the National Assembly is the one making laws for River State. Go back to the National Assembly, tell them to amend the state of emergency legislation to give power to the sole administrator and his government to conduct an election.
So before we let you go, just one final question. From your own perspective, what do you think is the way forward? Should these elections hold or should they not?
The Constitution, Section 8 of the Constitution, provides an answer. It says, hold a referendum especially in the circumstance where there is no longer a Rivers State House of Assembly. So these are supposed to be representatives of the people. Now, before you carry out any action, what is wrong with holding a referendum? As a legislative lawyer, I am currently involved in a referendum for creation of 2 additional states out of Rivers State, Akwa Ibom, and Delta State. We are going to the streets. We have volunteers who go to collect the signatures. The Constitution, Section 8, says 2/3 of the registered voters within that locality should support the creation of states. So this is a provision you can also apply in conducting these elections. Why don't you go for a referendum to ascertain from the 23 local governments of Rivers State, do you really want a local government election conducted by a sole administrator, or would you rather wait for the governor to be reinstated and then we conduct an election? A referendum. Constitution says this, Section 8 of the Constitution.
All right, thank you so much for joining us on the news and sharing your thoughts.